Hello everybody and welcome into Emily's Upcycled Home, where I take salvage items as well as thrifted finds and transform them into beautiful home decor pieces. I'm excited to go ahead and get started for today's video, so let's go ahead and jump on in to project number 1. For our first project, I have this frame. It's like a plasticky metalish kind of frame. It is missing the screws and it's pretty beat up, so we're going to go ahead and give this a paint job here and transform it into something a little different, coming in with this dark gray chalk paint that I did purchase a while ago at Hobby Lobby. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a thorough coat, and after the first coat, you guys, just because our surface is so slick here and I wanted to make sure that the paint did adhere very well, I came in with just a layer of Mod Podge in between coats, and then I went ahead and finished up a second coat, layering after all that Mod Podge dry. And I also flipped the frame over and did that layering process as well, covering the inside frame as well. Then I decided to come in with a little bit of brown paint and water and just mix that up, wetting my frame to give it a little bit of an antique wax look, just like you do in any other wax, but I'm just going to give it that look with some paint and water here. I'm gonna brush this on, giving it that muted look here, that see-through tone, and then we'll come back in with my towel and wipe off a little bit of that excess paint, adding more water when I need to. You see me just add into that paint and just keep applying this until I like the look of the piece, and come back in with my rag and do a little dabbing method just to pull some of that brown paint off. Now I repeat the process for this little cardboard cutout here that I am going to put a transfer on and decorate our picture frame with. So I'm just doing that same method, applying water and using that brown paint to give me a wash or an antique glaze kind of look here. I come back in with another scrap piece of the Botanical transfer by IOD, and I just go ahead and place that onto my piece of cardboard, rubbing that on and removing that backing so that the image sticks to our surface. Now, once again, you guys, I'm coming back in and burnishing that image so it has a proper hold. And then I just decide to come in with a little fan brush and add a little bit more line work and detail to the back of the image, going over that flower as well, just to blend everything in. And then come back in with some leftover dark wax on my brush and finish up the frame as well as our cardboard, hitting up all those areas with that dark wax. Now lastly, I add in the frame and the glass, and here is the look so far, but I decide to come in and give it a darker tone on the inside rim of our picture frame with that same method of the brown paint and water. And then we'll go ahead and piece it together. And if you missed last week's video with these items here, please go check that out with the link in the description. Moving into project number 2. This is a simple transformation. I have this little silver tray here. It's very tarnished, which I really like. And I'm going to come in with the IOD Rose Botanical transfers that you can shop with my affiliate link down in the description. I'm just going to pick out the scrap pieces here that I have from other projects and layer up a transfer in the center. And I decided to come in with this beautiful pink transfer here with the floral and the greenery. I thought it just fit better to the look I was going for. Now every transfer comes with a little stick to rub on your transfer with, but I tend to lose mine all the time, so whatever's on my table usually becomes my transfer stick or my transfer tool. In this case, it's just the end of a paintbrush. And if you haven't used transfers before, you go ahead and place your transfer onto your project, get your transfer stick, rub on that transfer, pulling up that backing as you go. I find that's the best way to work your transfer, making sure that it does adhere properly. And I did have some issues with this, but as you see, if your transfer does not adhere, you can just come back in, lay that transfer back on the image, line it up, and repeat the process of rubbing on that transfer. Now you do want to seal your surfaces before you add that transfer for a proper hold and an easier time transferring on this. But I did want to keep that tarnished look, so I did have a little issues at the top here. But after you put on your transfer, you want to burnish that in, and I did come in and seal over the transfer just to give it a protective coat here. And I came in with Mod Podge because that's what I had here, but you can come in with any sealer you like. And then this simple upcycled tarnish piece is complete. But then I decided to go ahead and add this little plate disc that I get off of Amazon, and all you do is wet that at the backing to activate that adhesive. You place the little disc on the back of your piece, your plate, or whatever it is that you're hanging, and you go ahead and line that up where you want, and you leave that piece for 24 hours for that adhesive to really seal and hold that in, and then your piece is ready to hang. Moving on into project number 3. So for project number 3, I have this little wood box, and it's very simple, very plain. So once again, we're coming in with that same gray chalk paint that I did come off of Hobby Lobby. I'll try to put a picture of it here. That way you guys can see what paint I'm using. And it's just a little tube here. And I go ahead and layer up this gray color all over our box here. I was trying to decide if I wanted the front brown, leave it, or paint it, but I decided to go ahead and paint all the outside of the box, hitting the edges of the top rim of the box, just to give it a full coverage look all around the outside perimeter of the box. And then I went ahead and flipped the box over and gave it a full coverage underneath, just so that it looks nice and neat for whoever purchases this piece. I did come in and hit the paint also on the front, covering up that knob. I'm gonna let this thoroughly dry, and once it is dry, you guys, we're gonna come in with a little stenciling work, and we're gonna add a little design, coming back in with those same little scrap transfers that you see all over my table there. And in searching for other project pieces, I found my JRV stencil here. So I'm just going to come in and use the bottom piece where the wording is and the little label is. And I'm coming back in with another chalk paint from Hobby Lobby. And I am just coming in with a lighter gray so that it shows up on the darker gray. Go ahead and offload my brush, and in a circular motion, I go ahead and hit all the spots of my image here that I want to stencil onto our box here. Now you can tape this down for an easier time so that you don't have to hold everything down and it won't shift on you, but I went ahead and did it without the tape. And I'm really avoiding the leaves because all I do want is the edge and the wording of our stencil here. Go ahead and pull that back, and then you have this beautiful image here. And like I said, we're going to come in with these deeper tones, and we're going to come back in with the botanical transfers. Now I know we're transitioning into fall, but at the same time, I do like florals with my fall. I just go with the deeper tones, the moodier tones, and dress everything up kind of with pumpkins. But I am going to leave the reverse side of this box plain just in case somebody wants to switch it over, and that's the look that they're going for in their fall decor. So I added that transfer, coming back in and burnishing that piece, and then I decided to go ahead and add some more on the other side of the piece. I do trim this transfer up with the scissors, leaving that backing intact, and the remaining of our transfer we'll go ahead and use in the front part of our box. But once again, you guys know the drill here. Go ahead and remove your white backing from your transfer, lay your image down, and rub that transfer in, making sure you burnish that piece so that your transfer has a firm hold to your project. Now, once again, I come back in with that same stencil, and I'm just going to add a little bit more wording on the front of our piece here. And then we'll go ahead and layer up the remaining of that transfer. And then to give it a little bit of a distressing edge here, I come in with my 220 piece of sandpaper and sand up the edges so that I have a little bit of distressing. And don't remember, you can go over your transfers as well and give them a light distressing. So I come back in with my DIY dark wax and I layer up all my dark wax around the edge on that gray tone, deepening the tone even further. And I'm just gonna wipe on the dark wax like always, you guys, and come back in with my lint-free rag and then wipe off all the excess. Now the dark wax is going to seal in our transfers here, as well as seal in that chalk paint and our stencil work. I also come back in with that same DIY dark wax and I go in on that natural wood on the inside of the box just to deepen that tone as well. And remember, once you put all your wax on, you want to come in and wipe off all the excess. Now, I do a lot of small projects, so I usually just wipe on all my wax and then wipe it all off, all the excess. But if you're doing bigger projects, you want to work in smaller sections. And if you like my content, please help my channel grow. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any more videos. For project number 4, I thought I would finish off with a simple fall piece here, coming in with just a scrap piece of old signage here that I got from my mystery box. I'm going to give that a light sanding, especially where that wording is at, just so that it's not raised and seen through the paint. Coming in with French Linen by Dixie Belle Mineral Paint, I go ahead and paint that on, giving it a 1 coat, and then we're coming back in with the IOD paint inlays from the Delft transfer pack. You want to press that into your wet paint, and I did wet my surface also before I added my paper here. And with my finger, I'm just pressing in that image, wetting it again to make sure all that image gets set into that paint, coming over, smoothing out the surface, and tapping in with a rag to remove some of that extra water. Now, how a paint inlay works is after you do this process here, you're going to dry your inlay or your paper on top so that that image is set into your paint. And once that layer of paper is dry, you're going to come back in and remist your paper. And what that's going to do is allow the paper to release from the paint, and you'll have your image onto your piece. Now, this is a fun part where you pull back and you see all that beautiful image inlaid into your paint of choice that you picked. And this is a beautiful flower background here. And you can do these images on so many different projects, you guys. They are fun and easy to work with. They are not complicated at all. So I come back in with my molding here by IOD once again, and my DOS paper clay. This is the old pumpkin mold, and I'm just going to get my clay, work that into my molding, and make our little pumpkin image to go onto our little card here. Making sure I smooth it all out, taking off the excess clay, and just working that clay until I have the right proportion for my little pumpkin here. And once you do that, you can go ahead and pull out your little image, and I'm going to place that in the center of our little sign here, or our little piece. Now, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this yet. I'm just going with the flow here. And to attach my little pumpkin, I do come in with E6000, smooth that with my finger all around the piece, especially on those edges. Place our piece onto our wood little signage, And then I come back in and repeat that process to create a leaf for our little pumpkin. I'm going to let this dry overnight for 24 hours so that clay hardens, and we'll come back in and finish up the look. So we have our clay all ready, and I'm going to come in with just some regular brown paint. This is just regular acrylic paint you can get off any craft store. I got mine off of Amazon. And I'm going to come in with my mister bottle and spray some water in there to thin out my paint and give it a little bit of a stain look instead of a thick paint look. Now I'm just going to run my paintbrush around those edges or those pleats of my pumpkin here and give it a more defined look. And I come back in, wet my brush, add a little bit more water here, and I'm just going to use that same paintbrush, my finger, and just blend and work that paint. Very muted tone here, very watered down base here into that clay pumpkin that we added. Now, I'm not going to worry about the leaves yet, but I do want to come in and have a darker stem here. So you just add less water, more paint to deepen up that tone. Now the layers I'm building here is just all with the same one brown paint color, using water, lightening, layering, darkening, and just adding that shadow work and building the layers on this pumpkin. And just showing you guys, if you guys don't have a lot variety of paint, you can build so many different colors with that one shade of paint, just watering it down. And I also come in with my fusion paint here in the color Newell, and it is this beautiful green color. I'm going to hit up those leaves, just deepening that color, and coming back in with that same technique of adding the shadow and that deeper brown tone under all that leaves, adding a lot of contrast to our pumpkin here. Come back in with a darker tone once again over our little leaves just to highlight. Come back in on the tops, layer that up, and then I decide to use just a little bit of a ribbon piece here. Add that watered down paint just to stain it up a bit. And I do that same technique of layering that watered paint around the edges, using my finger to blend. And then lastly, I cover everything with some DIY clear wax that's not on here. Add my cute little bow, some greenery, and attaching everything with hot glue. Add a cute little button as well, you guys, because I'm into buttons lately. I'm just going to layer up this greenery. And then I'm also just going to add a tag, because now that we added our pumpkin, it's not a balanced weight here. So we're just going to add a ribbon and make this a hanging piece. If you are interested in an IOD, Dixie Belle, or Fusion paint products, please check out my affiliate link down in the description. Don't forget you can shop with me over on Whatnot, as well as check out my listings over on Facebook Marketplace. Well, friends, we have reached the end of our video, and here are the end results. please give me a follow on other social media apps. I thank you all for watching, and I will see you all on the next one. Bye, friends.